What's going on, everybody? Landon with Home Service Business Coach. Dave, good to have you on as always. Guys and gals listening, we have a phenomenal topic coming up, hosted by, I guess, what would you say? Hosted, partnership led by Jobber themselves. And they put together this guide. Gen Z and the trades need each other. Okay, and that's what we're going to be talking about and diving in today. But Dave, what is it? Like they spent, all this time and energy and effort putting together this guide, which will leave a link down for you below. But man, give us a quick synopsis of it.
Guess we should read it, hey? No, I went through this a couple times. It's a really good report, guys. Jobber posts some great stuff all around how to bring more eyeballs to the trades. And this is a nice 18-pager. We'll link up. You can get a free download just below in the show notes. We'll take you just to download it directly. But I thought it was really well done. And I thought Landon and I would just take, 25, 30 minutes here and kind of unpack our thoughts around this because, Jobber works with thousands of companies. We work with a great amount of companies as well in the trade. So we wanted to give kind of our narrative around it, because what Jobber's trying to do, and I think it's brilliant, is they're trying to put more eyeballs on trades and almost just get the word out that, hey, everyone, trades is an option.
Yep.
Because we just didn't really hear about it when we were in high school.
Not at all. And my personal story on that, I went into framing when I was 17 to, I left a couple of times too, but over a course of about a 4-year span, right? And the only reason why I didn't, or I went into trades was because I didn't go to post-secondary. And honestly, I didn't have anything else, right? I remember at a high school job fair, and I've said this before, I walked around and asked one question: how much do you get paid? And the only job, quote unquote, a career that I found was a neurosurgeon. Well, I didn't have the grades, nor did I want to go to school for 12 years. So I was like, okay, I don't really know what my options are. Trades, super easy to get into, very high paying. You're going to beat your Starbucks, your kind of more, I guess, glamorous jobs, but it is a lot of hard work, which is what we're going to touch on as well too. And again, would I go back and do it again? 1,000,000%, because it built me into who I was. But I didn't know that going into it.
And that's what we want to talk about is Gen Z, just so we define their kids. I call them kids. I'm 35 now. Landon is how old now?
26. I'm apparently a Gen Zer.
You're a Gen Zer.
Which is crazy.
So 12 on the low end and then 27 years old on the high end. So this is what we're talking about, Gen Z. This is what the report is all around. And this thing's just full of, we love data. We love statistics. This thing's full of it. You can knock yourself out. But the one I wanted to bring up, Landon, is in this guide. It's saying that only 17% of Gen Zers in high school even hear about trades being an option. And that is very relevant to my story too, man. I went and got a business degree for 2 reasons. My oldest sister got it. And I went to school on a soccer scholarship. And guess what? Soccer captain Jordan, he was studying business. Dave must study business too. So we frame our paradigms based on who we look up to. And I just think a lot of these 12 to 27 year olds, they don't have tradespeople really framed as that's a great career. It's exactly what Landon said. I didn't want to go to school. Well, I guess I was left with framing. Exactly. And that's why we're having the conversation today, because we're gonna work with Jobber here. We're gonna flip this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess that gets into kind of the premise, right? I've heard it thousands of times here, I can't find good workers. I can't trust them. Gen Z does not want to work. And I say, hey, hold on a second. I apparently I'm Gen Z. I don't want to be categorized in that. So it's just again, a quick thing, don't just cast a wide blanket. And there's some of you that have hired people that are, again, quote unquote, Gen Z, that have been phenomenal employees. And again, that's going to come down to you. But Dave, before we get into all that stuff, what's your take? What's your take on the blue collar market as a whole?
I think a lot of home service entrepreneurs have done a poor job attracting, retaining, and here's the key word, ascending talent in their company. Stereotypically, we've got a business owner that is 30 to 50 years old, let's say. Usually male, unfortunately, but more females coming in the trades as business owners, phenomenal. And you've got this old school mindset that, you know, the workers work and make less money, and the business owner, you know, kind of calls the shots, right? And so there's this huge gap of buy-in. And so, of course, you know, conflict exists when there's unmet expectations. And the business owner is expecting, well, you should work on paying you. And the Gen Zer laborer, skilled trade worker is saying, well, I don't want to work for you. I'm not bought into this thing that you're building. So I think that's the first thing to address, Landon, is just a huge gap in expectations from kind of that old school type of contractor mindset, which I think today in 2024, moving into 2025, it's still very prevalent.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we look at Gen Z, 12 to 27 years old, what were their parents and my parents taught? You go to school, right? And it's like, okay, if we think through this, I think the average student loan debt, about 100K. Average job you're going to get out of it. Again, I could be wrong on this. I think it's anywhere from 60 to 75K. So right there, there's a conflict of math. Okay. If you get into trades, firstly, school half the time is subsidized by the government or through the company, or is just not going to be what, 25,000 a year for a 4-year degree. That, and here's the thing, how many people are in that grad class that are in thousands of universities across the country that are all graduating in the same year? And then you have that rinse and repeat. So the job market is extremely competitive versus the trades. And it does, and you're right, Dave, it does come down to people are not made aware of this. It's almost like, oh, you're going to go into trades. You must be stupid, where it's like, no. You can make a lot more money. You can walk away a lot less in debt. And you actually have tangible skills because here's the thing, an HR rep can be duplicated. Somebody who knows how to build a home with skyscrapers, always going to be a demand for.
Yeah, I'll share something anecdotal, man. My sister, I come from a big family, share the personal side a little bit. I'm second oldest of 5 kids. Okay. So one of my sisters dated this guy back in high school who I liked. He went to plumbing school, and, you know, he's kind of coming in to get to know our family, which is more professional, I would say, like lawyer, engineer, nurses.
Oh man.
Dave's kind of the weird entrepreneur with my little sister. But, you know, I got to know this guy, my sister's boyfriend at the time. And I even brought him in on a little renovation I was doing at one of my rentals, and I got chatting to him. He was like wiring up the sink and stuff, and, you know, seeing what this guy made, this would have been, you know, 8-10 years ago, seeing what he made during the week, and then he would do these side jobs for friends and family. What this guy was making, over 6 figures, didn't go the college route where you got me. Kind of watching this guy operate, where I got my business degree and I should be, you know, making the big money. But you see that there's 2 very distinct paths in trades. One is you can do what this gentleman did, work for a company, work his way up, do the side jobs, be the skilled laborers. Fantastic. The other option, which we need to touch on, man, is you can have that skill set, phenomenal, and then you can plug in the business skill sets, and then you can be someone owning, let's call it a 2-3 truck operation. It's not unreasonable. This plumber buddy could be doing a couple $1 million a year, making $300,000-400,000 grand a year with a small staff. Like, that is happening today in trades. We see it in companies we work with, and that's what we want to shine a spotlight on. You can do it with the skilled trade earning on the job site. You can do it in the business ownership too.
Absolutely. And it's such a great point that you highlighted, right? It's like, give you tangible skills to move into something else. And we're also finding with Gen Zers, it's not like they want to go corporate as well too. And because I think, again, and maybe this gets to our next question, we're jumping ahead, but this kind of idea of a Netflix society, which is like Netflix money, right? They want to make it big. They want to hit it quick. And they don't want to put a lot of work in. Again, stereotypical. It's hard to find good workers I can trust. They don't want to work hard, all these things. This report actually just goes against that, which is why it's so brilliant Jobber put this together. It's not that young people are wanting to go corporate, work their way up 20, 30 years. I think the average person switches careers nowadays 6 to 8 different times versus, again, our parents' generation, my parents' generation, one job, 50 years, you retire, right? So that's something that this report kind of got at. And we have to recognize it all comes down to awareness. People are just not knowing it. And you know who you are, who I've spoken to. You're kind of trying to set that example in your community in that pillar. There just needs to be more and more of that, not just through maybe your local church group or just through your, sponsoring a little league team, but actually through the school system itself, which is, I think we're going to look back on this report maybe in 10 years when the market starts to shift and be like, this was maybe the catalyst.
Yeah.
Because of Jobber's voice. But Dave, we could dive on this all day long. The question, why is the phrase, it's hard to find good workers I can trust, so common nowadays?
Yeah, I think the big thing, man, we need to zoom out in our helicopter is I think it's right now just hard to find decent human beings that you can trust. Like, let's just go out of home services for a second, kind of riffing on this relationship model, but just, people in the market looking to find a partner or spouse. We've all got tons of stories of friends of going down that journey. And so I always try and look at the bigger picture than like sometimes we get a bit pigeonholed just in trades, I think. This is a problem in the dating universe. This is a problem in grocery stores. This is a problem in government jobs. This is a problem in home services. So I think it's kind of Alex Hormozy, right? When you're wishing that things weren't hard, that's what's gonna like make you upset. So I think number one, change your paradigm. If something's hard, congratulations. It's probably going to be really rewarding when you do end up figuring it out. I think most entrepreneurs, to be honest, Landon, just lack the patience and like the sticking power to stay in the game when things get hard. I've been in this industry. This is my 16th year. Have there been years of those 16 hard to find good people? Absolutely. Probably all 16 of them, actually. It's just a thing. If you're going to own a trades business, your entire business model is essentially going to affluent homeowners to perform service. And you're literally creating a marriage between customer and the labor that you have. So if you don't have the inputs, you're not going to build a business. So I think most entrepreneurs underestimate the heavy lift when it comes to building their team. And then it's easy to say a phrase, we can't find good workers. It is very hard to find good workers, but that doesn't mean it's not a mission worth signing up for. Yeah,
absolutely, Dave. And I'll touch on that from maybe a personal note as well too. One of the big things we teach here, among many other things in regards to hiring, and we've talked about this before, find your vision, find your core values. And again, it comes to the owner. You don't have proper systems in place nor procedures or know even who you're looking for, but you're expecting to find somebody in a job market that is extremely hard to find those people you can trust, who have the work ethic that you have and all these different things when you don't even know who you're aiming for. So I applied the same principle, vision, core values, to the dating scene. Okay. Not married yet, but things are going really, really good. We're over a year and a half in. And I remember, Dave, you said, look, you need to find the vision and core values, and you had a set process and procedure to the dating. What's that? 10 dates in 40 days. So there was even a method to the madness. And again, so I went in there, I had actually a process. I knew what I was looking for. I was clear on what I was looking for and what I would allow or not allow or settle for, if you will. And again, it comes down to the owner. You're not doing that. And it's when you're competing with social media. How many of you have ever felt bad that this kid who's 21 is making $100,000 a month in some online company? You're like, oh man, it's just crazy, right? That's who you're competing with. All the workers you've ever talked to that have the social, the Instagram, the TikTok, they're not really on Facebook. Sorry, guys. They're just not on Facebook. They're on the YouTube. They're seeing these things and they want that for themselves. Yet again, Jobber highlighted this. Terrible job with just, hey, that is possible, but it's not realistic to make it overnight, number one, and then or number two, and then number three, you got to actually go out and search for it as well. Yeah, man. And it's kind of like when we were coming up through high school, kind of making it on YouTube and building this unicorn business. I think the internet makes it look normal. Kind of like how we were coming up, I was loving playing soccer is probably till I was like 16 or 17 where I was like, okay, Dave, you're not going to play professional soccer, but coming up, you're like,
man, I could be the next Ronaldo, not Cristiano Ronaldo, but the other Ronaldo on Brazil, who I grew up watching. Right.
Yep.
And so there's a tipping point, not to say you give up on your dreams, but you actually see what's a sure bet here, and then what would be nice to happen. And so, I pivoted that goal to say, okay, I'm not going to go to Europe and play professionally, but where could I play locally that would be still a great time? So I think young people need to come through and just see that this is an option. And I'm a big fan of getting your bills paid with the daytime job that pays the bills.
Yep.
And absolutely go out and moonlight and monkey stuff on the side. I've sold stuff on Marketplace. That's how I started painting, man, was an ad on Craigslist with my Honda Civic. I went and painted some dude's exterior fascia for $300 on a Saturday. And it was like, this is a cool thing. So I think you can moonlight your online business, your Shopify store, whatever. Go for it. Absolutely. Do that on the side, because that stuff usually takes time.
Yep.
But find something stable that you could have a good go with, because life's not getting any less expensive. And we just want to turn a spotlight on the conversation to say, look, trades is an incredible, rewarding career. And when you look at the next decade, Landon, it's these guys and these girls that are, there's this quote in here somewhere. Yeah, right here. AI can't replace your plumber, right?
Yes.
Maybe we should chat about that, because I think it's a really key point to be talking about is the artificial intelligence. Do you think that's scaring away young people from joining the trades?
I think it's actually the opposite, Dave. I think young people, and again, the report have stated it as well too. We'll leave a link below and for you to check it out, because you really need to read this, right? It's going to help you with your marketing, just getting people. But young people are actually scared. Like, they realize that AI is going to have a huge impact on their job security, right? And Gen Z, this report said, is more aware that the trades are less likely to become automated and infiltrated with AI. Because I'll give you an example, right? There was this guy, he's an inspector, big job site, apartment buildings, and he started using a drone. Well, now, guess what? His job's not going to be there in 10 years. You want to know why? Artificial intelligence drones that can fly around a building in a fraction of the time for the fraction of the cost and never make mistakes. Everything's going to be by the books. There's no human opinion and emotion. However, until they develop robots that can think for themselves, a whole different conversation. That building, that electrical outlet, that window clean, that's the stuff where the gold mine's going to be there. And you're going to see, and mark our words, you're going to see this shift probably in the next 40 years where everything else starts to get automated. But the buildings where the automation takes place, the factories, the housing, all these different things are still going to be run and been doing by people. And the opportunity as the older generation gets older, retires, it's going to be a blue ocean for those that take advantage of it.
Yeah, and you look at the gap right now, like Landon and I were in the west coast of Canada, but this is right across North America. You look at how many boomers are actually retiring, like a lot of them with smaller businesses, right? Kind of these artisan owner-operator business. Like, you look at the opportunity here, not to just create income, but also be able to create a great lifestyle. You could literally go and get your ticket to become an electrical contractor. And you could go and start taking over some local businesses if you've got some business chops and really an appetite for expansion. And you can grow this thing. What we've seen in trades at Home Service Business Coaches, some of our young gun owner operators, I'm talking these like 20 to maybe 28-year-old, I keep calling them kids, but like younger trades business owners, they have an appetite, man, to grow and take over. And I think that's like amazing and refreshing. And I think it's something that the older people like myself, mid-30s, can actually learn from and take notes from. But you said 40 years. I think I think there's still a good 20 years of needing, at least 20 years, I think, of needing skilled technicians in trades, your plumbers, your electricians, your HVAC installers. We're seeing it in the pressure cleaning world. There's drones that,
Yes.
One of our members actually literally has in Nashville. He's cleaning buildings with a drone. Like, you need to have a drone operator then, and there's licenses, and it's not all easy money at that point. But I think you're going to start seeing that, and we're going to see some robotics in window cleaning. But, you know, to really dive in and fully take over, I think it's still a couple decades away. I might be wrong, but that's just what I'm kind of seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. And to touch on the young hungry guys that are coming in, those guys who love Hormozi, that's kind of the the joke we say. Alex Hormozi, if you don't know who he is, go check him out. There's this one guy, and again, there's drawbacks to AI, like job security. The Gen Zers are becoming more aware of, like, trades probably aren't going to get taken over. However, we have one member, and he gets his lead flow, again, thinking outside the box, young, hungry, wants to learn. He gets a portion of his lead flow from automated AI chat callers.
Wow.
Okay, I want you to just have that sink in for a second. Have you ever thought about that? Because guess what? An AI has or doesn't have that a human has: opinion and emotion. And the AI doesn't care if it gets an FU. It's going to call again, and it doesn't need to eat and doesn't need to sleep. So in certain aspects, again, if we think about it in an office manager, you cannot replace a very skilled office manager with that human touch. But you can replace maybe sending out automated emails, maybe answering the initial phone that gets passed to somebody, a live person on the other end. Like AI, we don't know. Nobody knows the implications of AI. It's all speculation. So I just want to put a disclaimer on that. But instead of looking at AI as like the Terminator, it also could be the savior for a lot of small business owners as well too. So don't forget the opportunity that it relies on.
I was just going to joke. I thought the FU was meaning follow up. You know, a true salesperson. But can you say that again, just so you don't have to remind I don't want to botch it. An automated phone dialer.
Yes.
So it's just calling prospects looking for leads.
So it's grabbing an email or a call list, right? And you can also pair this with an email sequence as well too, to warm them up, right? And this is where AI is not going to go put a yard sign out. This is where, again, it goes in conjunction of everything that we teach at Home Service Business Coach and what you've seen online. When all these pieces are working together, that's where you're really going to see the upside of it. But he's not doing any of that. Yeah. Wow. At least when he came to us, he's not doing any of that. It's straight up a bot calling. And he's had to work out a few things. I was speaking to him about it because it like caught my attention. And it's a few things. It's not an off the shelf product, but young guy thinking outside the box and is like, how can I attack marketing in a different way using artificial intelligence? We're already seeing that today.
Yeah, it's super cool to get some of those tasks start to move, but I do think there's still a play for that human element. I think absolutely. Especially, I think, Landon, when you're coming into someone's home too, I think when you have technicians that know how to speak the language of the homeowner, those are really skills that I would have a tough time seeing that get replaced with like robotics 100%. Or artificial intelligence. So yeah, I think there's obviously progress to be made, and I think it's super interesting to keep up on this stuff, but I don't think that for today's present discussion it would really like detract from what we're trying to talk about with making trades an option. I think the worst thing is don't talk about it. 12 to 27-year-olds think you have to go to we should talk about this for a sec. You have to go to college to be successful. Because that's what parental advice maybe was, or you know, society said you have to do that to make something of yourself. End up in a bunch of debt, probably get your degree, probably won a few beer pong tourneys along the way, got the nice sweater. Because we joke about it, Landon, because I don't think we feel it as much in Canadian culture, this whole pressure to like go to college and make something of yourself. I think we've got some bigger, we call them universities here in Canada, but I still think it is a bit of pressure for a young person that still white collar is perceived on a bit of this pedestal. But I do think with the internet discussions like these, and those of you that have any form of a social following, you should be sharing stuff like this out, because young people need to see it. Whether they do it or not, their call. I just want to make sure, we want to make sure they're informed with the options, Because when we're in high school, man, trades was strictly a fallback.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a problem. And it ties back to, again, we're getting a lot from this report. Well done.
Yeah,
Job.
we are.
The contractor stigma, right? And again, I'm thinking, I'm viewing this through the lens of like college football season, right? It's such a big thing. How can a college pack out a 90,000 person stadium, right? Maybe 50,000 more realistic. And you look at half of the population are all college age students wearing the alumni gear. Like the push, I think, again, we do have a disconnect, Dave, between the US and Canada, because there's so much money behind the machine of going to college and all that stuff. Yeah. But this is also the other thing too. The thing is that if we look at it from a high level perspective, the stigma has to change, and it's going to change. Why? Private equity. I've said this before. Private equity is coming into the game.
Yeah.
We've already seen this from Tommy Mello. It's going to become more predominant.
Yeah.
We've talked about this before in a previous podcast. That means regulation is going to come into place. But what happens when private equity gets into something? Lots of money to be made, which ties back to this social media mindset that the young people, and again, including myself, it's not like we're not on social media and some dinosaurs. I'm on it. You're on it, Dave. I got YouTube Premium. I refuse to watch
there you go.
sit for ads. So I understand everything that's happening, but it's reshifting kind of the American dream, man. The American dream of 20 years ago, go get, and years before that, graduate on honor rolls, do the best you can, get in a sport, but sport's probably not going to be your thing, which both of us found out.
Yeah.
Go to school, work the corporate ladder, and kind of move forward from there. And you're going to start to see that, again, Gen Zers, as this report says, they just don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And we got to spread the message. It's a phenomenal opportunity with benefits, with flexible hours that people can work.
I was gonna finish your run there. Get married, white picket fence.
Yeah, exactly.
All this stuff. But just to go back to this report, guys and girls, when considering a career, which of the following has the most impact? Of the 100%, almost 51% are direct from family. So family is a huge one. Second place is a mentor, just under 14%. And then we get into kind of those tertiary and beyond categories. Friends, 7%. Social media, we touched on 10%. Wow. That's actually like pretty big.
Yeah.
Teachers/schools are 7%. Online search is 7%. And then books is 1.5%.
We need to bump that up, Audible.
And then TV shows and movie 3%. So big learning is like big 3 would be family, mentor, friends, and social media. That'll cover like well over 80%. So like that's where Gen Zers are picking up their cues, which is really high for family.
Man, so that's very interesting. Do you think Gen Zers are scared to disappoint their parents?
I think
because if family is 50% of the matter, your parents most likely went to post-secondary, or you want to be the first to go to post-secondary in your family, which is very admirable, and you should do that. But do you think people are just scared of taking the risk nowadays of going against the grain?
I think maybe.
It's an interesting thought, right?
Yeah, no, it is. I think everyone's situation will be different, but I do think it's higher than I would have thought, the influence from family, and everybody comes from a different upbringing. But I think there is still really strong ties in Canada and US to post-secondary being the ticket to make something of your life. But the thing I like with this trades discussion is as cost of living continues to go up, people will start putting jobs under a microscope of yes, fulfill my passion and do change the world, and I don't want to make light of that, but it's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You need to get your monthly covered every month. So if I can get a business degree and come out making 60 grand a year, or I can go and be an electrical contractor and make 80 grand in my first year, and school's half the time, and I can do it at nights and they pay for it, and maybe one day I could start my own business. That's a tough one to fight against. So, it's funny, Landon, when I got into my trades with running a painting company, I came home in 2009 with this CD-ROM, and it said right on it, CD-ROM, cool word for online program, said make 20K in a summer. And I brought it right to the kitchen table. I was stoked. And my mom was like, this looks like a scam. And it's like, love my mom. But I'm like, okay, that was really her take that this isn't going to go.
Yeah.
And my dad was a little more open-minded and was like, hey, if you think it can go, like we believe in you. So it's very much like,
wow.
I was looking for their approval.
Yes.
And so I was getting one of these, one up, one down, and I just chose to do it. So I think it still weighs in, but I don't think it's going to be the end all for young people to say, oh, I need my parents to really agree with this decision. I think the Gen Zers are empowered, and I think parents can influence, but I think ultimately they'll act how they want.
It's their decision. Yeah. And it's interesting too, Gen Z 12 to 27, that is the age. And I've experienced this still to this day. And Dave, you probably have gotten over it a bit more, especially with having Beckham in the picture now. You care so much about what other people think. And I heard this quote from Ed Milet. People don't, when you're thinking about what people are thinking about you, they're thinking about what you're thinking about them.
Yep.
Meaning nobody's thinking about you at the end of the day.
Yep.
But the perception is that, oh my gosh, so I have to go get a post-secondary degree because you're at a family function or, you go to a dinner party, whatever. Mm-hmm. The question always comes up, what do you do?
Yep.
And it's that kind of ego and pride thing of like, oh, I work in finance. When your finance job makes you 60 grand versus the electrician who you're like, oh, he's an electrician. He makes 120 grand and he's putting it away. And he doesn't have student loan debt. And he has a plan to start his business with finance. If you want to start, the next Sequoia Capital, I mean, good luck. So there might be that, but like, I think the premise, Dave, is Jobber did a phenomenal job putting this thing out. And it's just a matter of the owners that are listening to this. And again, it's all responsibility as well, too, to spread the message of Gen Z of, hey, this is a viable career for all these different reasons.
Yeah. There's a great quote I just wanted to read out and we'll wrap up from Terrence here. He's in Vancouver.
There's so much data.
This is from Terrence, okay? I became a plumber at 20 and since have started a business earning more than $1 million in revenue annually. I learned about the trade early on and my parents encouraged me to pursue it. I wish more parents understood how valuable a career in the trades can be and encourage their children to explore vocational school. Sorry, that's Terrence Chan, owner of Impetus Plumbing and Heating. I'm pretty sure he's in Vancouver.
Yep.
But like, I think Terrence is in the minority from having parents be like, this is an option. But you look at his parents now are seeing what he's built and maybe his next generation, they're going to like see growing up in this, like, this is a sweet business. And unfortunately, I think our parents' generation have been modeled that tradespeople don't make that much money and they're stressed out and they're like owner operators that don't have their crap together.
Yep.
So like we can't blame them for thinking this isn't a very good option. Like, but when you're going to see this generation come up, nice uniforms, nice wrap trucks, someone's got good income. And we haven't even touched on it, Landon, but like, making money in trades is one thing, but I actually think like the lifestyle is like way better. There's something called time freedom that you get, you should get when, first few years of growing a business is very all in, but once you grow something like a trades business, you should have a bit of time on your hands to be able to fit in some family time if you want, some friend time, some more lifestyle. So I think that's something that you would have more in business ownership once you're built up versus climbing like a corporate ladder.
Yeah. And I'll say this, if I were to go back and talk to my 17-year-old self, I'd probably say go into trades, but go into HVAC or electrical and get Red Seal certified, which is what we have up here in Canada. That's like your mastery ticket, if you will, your 4-year degree or whatever. I don't know what you call it in the States, but Red Seal, and then start your own business. Why? For all the reasons we have mentioned. And I'll finish off with a story. I was talking with a young guy, I think he's 23, at the gym yesterday. So, like, this guy is a machine. He can squat over 500 pounds.
Loves Hermosi.
Like, doesn't like, this is his problem. He doesn't know Hermosi, right? And he's going to school to become an optometrist.
Eye doctor.
Yeah. he studied for 6 months, and he wasn't happy with his test results he got back, right? And you can see, we got into it. He's like, if it was my decision, I wouldn't be doing this. It's all because of my parents. And it just goes right to what Jobber was saying. And it's like, okay, long term, he has the goal of starting his own business. So he still has that. It's just the avenue he's taken is what, 4 to 8 years. I don't know the schooling. Tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, it's just a different path. But again, when you're talking to young people, what is their end goal? It's not that they're lazy. They just don't know what they don't know, and they don't know where they want to go.
Yeah.
And it's your job to provide them with that roadmap as a stepping stone onto something greater.
And I think most people our age now, Landon, don't know about the opportunity in trades.
No, they don't.
Because unless you're like beating your chest on social saying, look at all my trucks, I'm making all this money.
Yep.
There's some people just quietly going about their business, making multiple 6-figure incomes, taking 8 weeks holiday a year with a small team in place and a great lifestyle. So, you know, I think it's just more of an awareness piece like this, just to look into it, because, you know, you can Google national averages and see, but I think it's kind of cool to see two guys take that are actually in industry, working with these businesses, and you've even worked in multiple trades business. Landon was a sales rep for us at Revive back in the day.
There we go.
So we go way back. So, but yeah, I think it's just a great discussion to have, and you know, I'm glad we could carve out the time to have this chat.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we'll leave a link below to Gen Z and the trades need each other, a report by Jobber. If you found value, drop a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel. It does help us out a lot. If you want to get in contact with us, you know, if you want to speak with me directly to see if we can help your trades business, number will be below. Hit our website, hit chat with us, or book a call now. You're going to talk with me. We got to see if we like each other. You've heard this before. And if we can even help you out. And if it makes sense, move forward from there.
Yeah.
So guys and gals watching and listening, I hope you took some value. Dave, great podcast. And we'll see you later.
See you guys.